sky blue days. These are sky blue days. The CBS and the SBA will fight to the end and lead the way. Yeah. Sing out together. These are sky blue days. These are sky blue days. The CBS and the SBA will fight to the end and lead the way. Yeah. Sing out together. Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans.
Good evening and welcome to another live edition of Sky Blue Fans TV. My name's Mark Smith and tonight I've been joined by Coventry City fan and fellow member of Sky Blue Fans TV, Danny White. Hi Danny, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Still recovering from yesterday's result, but never mind. So we're proudly sponsored by the Dylan's Brewery, Sky Blue Tavern, CCFC Prints, CCFC Fan Store, Ivy Lucy Designs, and Mr. View Sky on Twitter. So tonight we'll be reviewing yesterday's defeat at Hull City. We'll also be joined by Ollie from Deepdale Digest, who's a Preston fan. He'll be coming on the next 15, 20 minutes or so. So we'll be talking about our next opponents, Preston North End, which we're playing on Wednesday night at the CBS Stadium. And yeah, I mean, hopefully Gareth Withers may be joining us as well at 8 o'clock, depending on other commitments. So hopefully we'll be getting him on board. Okay, let's kick things off looking at the whole game yesterday. Danny, I mean, looking at the teams, any surprises for you when you saw the team lineup?
No, I was quite happy with the side, really. Obviously, Casey Palmer came in. I was either expecting him to come on and late in the game or to start the game and then come off. So yeah, I was quite happy with that. With Allen in the midfield with Sheaf, and yeah, I was happy with obviously Rose coming in for Hyam. That was a forced change. So I was actually happy with the side. The side looked quite good on paper.
Yeah, I mean, was you sort of surprised maybe McFadden was starting ahead of someone like Callum Doyle, or was that kind of expected in your view?
No, I did actually think McFadden would start because that Oscar, I don't know that much about him from Hull, but he looks like he's quite a physical player. And McFadden's good against physical people. So I wasn't that surprised that he was playing. I think Doyle's just sort of working his way to sort of match fitness and getting used to Championship football. So no, I wasn't that surprised Fad started the game.
Yeah. And also two up front, do you think that's the right decision? Could they have possibly played maybe Eccles as the extra midfielder? Sort of looking ahead, or do you think two up front was the correct decision?
No, I was happy with it. I think it was a good formation. Like to play Godden and Vic up front was positive, really. It showed he wanted to go there and get the 3 points. So no, it was good. It was quite good shape, really. I think like Palmer was good. He was doing some neat stuff just behind the front too. And it looked good. It looked good offensively, but defensively it was just abysmal, really.
Yeah.
The positive thing is we're actually looking good with scoring goals. We've scored like 5 goals in 3 Championship games, so that's a positive. It's just tightening it up at the back.
Yeah, I mean, let's look a bit more to the game. I think, first 10 minutes of the game, you'd have to say Hull dominated territorially. They really pinned us back into our own half. We couldn't really sustain any kind of attack at all, any real note. We didn't. A lot of times I noticed we were trying to play the perfect pass to our forwards, and either they couldn't get hold of the ball or it went harmlessly off for a goal kick, and it was a bit frustrating. And then looking at the first goal, I think there's a combination of factors here. I think looking at the goals again today, the first one, I thought Dabo was a little bit asleep. I thought, in the sense that there was him and Michael Rose kind of tracking the same player. And when you look at the ball that gets released to the guy on the left-hand side, he's kind of all on his own, brings it across, and it goes on the other side of the flank, and then they cross it into the goal. It was just a bit of a catalogue of errors. It was just a bit poor, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, like you say, it was poor. I think it was too much time to get the ball over twice. Keeper didn't really cover himself in glory, really pushed it straight into the middle of the goal. And just, it looked offside when you looked at it like there and then, but I think it was Rose who was just sort of walking onto the pitch almost.
Yeah.
So he was actually miles onside, the guy who scored.
Yeah.
No, it was just a bad goal to concede. And we've done that at Sunderland, and we've done it now away at Hull. When you go to these grounds, for the first 25 minutes, you need to keep it tight, get the home fans on their back. But both occasions, we're just giving soft goals away within the first 10 minutes, and then we're chasing the game on the back foot.
Yeah. Our illustrious colleague Glenn Watkin makes a comment. Dabo and Moore fought for the first goal, Moore for the second, and the third goal rose. Dabo and Moore need to do better. Our offside line is awful, needs working on. I mean, I think looking back at the 3 games we've played away from home, I'd say Millwall actually started very well that game, and we went 2-up, and then we kind of collapsed for a Moore mistake. One thing I would say, however, is after the first goal went in, the reaction I thought was pretty good from the Sky Blues. I thought we actually came into the game. We actually kind of give us a kick up the backside, and then we started to, build some pressure, and then we won a good penalty with Casey Palmer getting fouled in the box, and then Matty Godden notching up another goal. And from that position, I thought we looked like we had a real foothold in the game. We looked like a team that could possibly even go on and win the game from there.
You did.
Go back.
We did. We got back into the, like you say, as soon as they scored, I was watching it, and before you know it, the coverage, we were actually on the offensive. So we went at them straight away after they scored. Got the goal. Good from Casey Palmer. It was a good build-up, actually. Great finish again from Godden, who's just lethal from anywhere. He's lethal from the penalty spot. We all know that. And just, we are then sort of the better side. And then it's just, well, the second goal for Hull, it's just inexcusable, really. It's just a ball into an area. The keeper should be claiming that, and I just couldn't believe he dropped it and knocked it onto their player. It was just criminal, really, right on the stroke of half time.
Yeah, it's just another mistake from Simon Moore. I mean, that's the third mistake, the third howler. The Sunderland game didn't come out for the cross, which Jack Clark heads into an empty net. The Millwall game, he comes off his line and goes net, gets nowhere near clearing, punching the ball away, and gets caught in no man's land, an easy header. And as I say, yesterday, fairly innocuous. It dipped a bit up the shot, but really, I mean, any goalkeeper worth his salt, even at park level football, should be gobbling that up and catching it without any problems. And I don't know if it's a confidence issue. I'm not sure, but it was just really, really poor. It was disappointing. And at this level of football, it doesn't actually matter what level of football it is. It could be park level, it could be Championship, it could be Premier League, it could be any level of football. You cannot afford to give away soft goals like that, and it really peeved me off as a fan. I don't know how you felt.
Yeah, it was just, it changed the whole game, really. I mean, we were playing really well at the time, and it knocked his confidence for the whole game. Like, the balls were coming into the box, and there was no one anywhere near him, and he was punching shots, and it just affected everything for him. I think his confidence is just totally shot. But next game he has to be dropped, unfortunately. We've got to bring Wilson in, who I don't think Wilson's much better than Moore, or he's nowhere near. He's probably not even better than Moore. But we can't afford a goalkeeper to making mistakes like that. Yeah. Both keepers, I'm not impressed with either keeper, really.
No, I think there's a possibility that Robbins might have to look at that maybe ahead of the deadline at the next week. I think I don't know what will happen. Obviously, we'll also talk about Dom Hyman a bit as well. We'll go on to that in a little bit. We've got a comment in from next commentary player, Graham Webby. Evening, Graham, and great to have you with us and listening to our show. Great chat, lads. It can only happen to Cov to start the season, but I'm really confident we can turn it around. I mean, do you share that optimism, Danny, that we can turn this form around?
I keep changing my opinion. I mean, I do put a few things on Twitter. At times, it's just a bit of to wind people up. And I was thinking about it today. We have actually got a good side. We've got, when we get O'Hare back, when we've got Haymar, when we've got Vic, we have actually got some good players. We've got the 3 games in hand. The problem is our points tally is sort of 1, but I sort of think you're looking at 4 probably minimum onto our total, potentially 6. So because we've got these games in hand, every game we lose, the results magnified even more, because if we'd got them games on the board, them wins on the board straight away, would have looked a bit more rosier. But with 3 games in, this is me being a little bit more calm now after yesterday. With 3 games into our season, and it's so early days, like teams can just shoot up the table or drop down the table. I think we're actually playing a brand of football which will get us wins, but then we will lose games as well.
Yeah,
I think we have got some good players, and it's not far off the team we had last season, is it? Really, barring Matson, Jake Clark-Salter, and Hyam if he goes. So I think if we can sort of tighten up a bit defensively, we can shoot up the table. But I think we're going to have to be patient because of these extra games we've got to play.
Yeah. Well, I think every defeat, adds more pressure to the next game. And then you look back at last season, we didn't win many games, last few games, and I think there's a little bit of a worry. I think, as I say, the big positive for me is it's another game we've scored 2 goals away from home. Aside from the shambolic defending and keeping, we have been scoring goals up front, which gives us. I think I'd be more concerned if we were, losing games by something to 0 and not scoring goals. But at least we're scoring goals. At least we're creating opportunities. So I think there are a couple of positives to draw on. I thought Casey Palmer yesterday had a decent 90 minutes, or not 90 minutes. I think he got subbed, but he had a decent match. I thought overall, he'd done pretty well. And I think, with more games under his belt, his fitness levels increasing, I think he'll be a good asset. Looking at just going back to the goalkeeping situation, we've got a couple of comments here. Let's have a look. So we've got Glenn's is saying bring Kean Tyler from the under-23 as a goalkeeper. And our good friend, let me have a look, another comment. Webby, Paul Webb, good to have you on again. Wilson will come in. I mean, what's your view? Would you say Wilson or Tyler for you, Danny?
You've got to play Wilson, haven't you? He's the number 2. He has got championship experience. He hasn't played that many games in his career. If you look at his record, he has had some good games for us, but he's also got a clanger in him as well. To be honest, I mean, he didn't cover himself in glory in the game against Bristol City in the cup. He made a couple of rash decisions. He made a rash decision, I think, in the Huddersfield game last season. He saved the penalty against West Brom. I'm not overly confident at all with Wilson. He's not too bad with the ball at his feet. He's a confident lad. Don't get me wrong, but he's got a mistake in him. But we've got to give him a go, haven't we? I wouldn't be throwing a youngster in. I don't know if Robbins is thinking now, do I go and get a keeper before the window shuts? But who's he going to get? Is he going to have finances? And the answer to that is probably no. But that goalkeeping has cost us a fair chunk of points in these 3 games, which we can't continue to do that.
No. Another comment from Glenn about Ben Foster being a possible short-term option. I guess the thing with Foster is possibly wages is the only thing. I appreciate he's on a 3, but I guess that's the only stumbling block, wouldn't it be? In my opinion, he would be an excellent choice, but I guess wages could be a blocker on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a local lad, isn't he, Foster? Short-term contract until the end of the season. The only thing I don't quite like about him is he seems more interested in his social media and filming when he's in goal than he does about actually playing football. So that's a concern for me. But he's got experience. Again, he's got experience in the dressing room. Could be an option, but I mean that's gonna shoot more and more's confidence even more, isn't it? Really bringing another goalkeeper in.
Yeah, look, I think Simon Moore is a good goalkeeper. Let's put it straight. I think he had an excellent season last season. He's just going through a bad run of form. However, I still think he needs to be dropped because his performances haven't been good enough, and I'm sure he'll be the first person to admit that. It's one of those positions, keeper, where you make a mistake and you get noticed. If a midfielder made a mistake, the defender could be covering you, and that's fine. So it is a bit of he's just going through a very rough spell. I just think he needs to take out the far in line just for his own good. Ben Wilson didn't have from what I didn't see the game against Preston in the Cup, but from what I've been told, he didn't have a good game. But there's been games this last season I think we've done very well, like the West Brom game. He saved us a penalty in the 90 plus minute. So I think he's an okay backup keeper. I think you've got to give him a go. But obviously it's a tough decision for Robbins to make. He's got to make that call. But let's see what happens. I think just moving on now to the second half. And 2-1, okay, disappointing, but still all to play for. And sort of quite early on, Oscar Klim completes his hat-trick. And again, it's just another poor goal, very easy goal to score, wasn't it? I mean, just all tap-ins, really, just from very close range. It's just really frustrating the way we're defending and conceding easy goals, which is, very frustrating.
Yeah, it was just I think it was another cross from Paul's right side. Easily gets to the line, crosses it in. I think the guy chests it ahead of, I think it was ahead of Dabo, and then just reaches out with the outside of his left foot, I think, and just knocks it home. Moore gets something to it, and it's in the back of the net. I mean, no disrespect to the guy who got the hat trick, but it was probably the worst hat trick I've seen in a long, long time. I mean, his reaction to the second goal he scored was just, he hardly reacted to it because it was that soft. It was such a poor hat trick, and every single goal he scored was given to on a plate. Yeah,
it's just very disappointing. I think the way our defenders were defending, even I would have fancied score against some of our defenders yesterday. It was just really, really poor. But never mind. Moving on, obviously we pull one back. Matty Godden again with a header from a corner. Good corner from Martin Waghorn. I actually thought the subs that Robbins brought on the second half actually made a big difference. I thought Martin Waghorn done very well. He looked pretty decent coming off the bench. Tyler Walker done okay, and Callum Doyle I thought came on, and I thought he looked okay as well for Fad. So I thought he gave us a little bit of a lift, and I thought again at 3-2, I thought again we were within a shout. I don't know. Did you ever feel like we could get one back and level that game, or was it kind of too little, too late?
I did think we could level the game, but I said it this season that we're not going to. I don't think we're going to score as many late goals and be bailed out as much this season as last. So I wasn't surprised we didn't equalise, but it's easy to play when you're 3-1 down or 3-2 down. That's when when we were losing, we started to play with more confidence or less pressure on our shoulders. Yeah, we had a couple of chances, didn't we? I think Vic had a long range effort. Waghorn pulled one wide. Paul nearly scored on the break. But the subs did look good. I thought, especially Doyle. Doyle looked really good. I was happy with Doyle. I'm quite inclined to actually start him on Wednesday night in the middle ahead of Pads. Or I don't know if Panzo was injured or what happened with him, but he looked really good. Waghorn as well did okay in that game. So
Yeah.
Robbins did actually. He made the subs, I think, on the mid-60s. So usually he doesn't make subs until the 90th minute, does he? So
Yeah.
good to see us actually try and go for it. But we had nothing to lose, did we? Really, the game was 3-1 at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that for me, what we need to improve on is our work off the ball. I think we can see goals from poor positional play. The first goal for me was poor positional play by Dabo because he gets sucked in by sort of attacker who passed it out wide to the left, and that's where he should have been. He should have been out wide to the left, and Rose he's got to command that area. He's got to come out, and if he concedes a foul, he concedes a foul. But he's got to make a challenge, not back off. I think that's part of the problem for me. Is when teams are on the front foot against us, they always seem to get a goal against us because of our poor positional play. They seem to open us up too easily, and that's what frustrates me watching us play. And then, it's all very well people and commentators saying, "Well, it could be Robin time again." I don't want it to be Robin time. I want us to be in a position where we're actually leading. Because you can't always, expect Robin's time to keep paying us out of trouble. I know last season was an exception. We got a lot of points, but we can't think like that. And we've got to defend better as a team. It's not just about individual players. It's about the midfield. It's about the defence. It's about everyone. Everyone's a team has got to do their bit. Even the strikers have got to track back. It's a team effort. And I think that's something I'm sure Robins will be working on ahead of Wednesday. So that rounds off that game. So let's get that one, put that in the bin, so to speak. And let's look forward to Preston. So I'm going to introduce a couple more guests to the show. We've got Glenn, Sky Blue Hub, who's going to come and join us. And we've got Ollie from Preston fan from Deepdale Digest to give us the lowdown on Preston. So good evening, both. I hope you're all well. We'll start with you, Ollie. How's things? And Preston's been a solid, if not a spectacular start, but a solid start nonetheless. How would you sum up the performances at Preston?
I mean, everyone's seen the lack of goals, not just that we've scored, but in our games as a whole. There's been one goal in our 6 games this season, which is absolutely really. 6 clean sheets is great, but 1 goal scored, and it was a goal of the season contender that we probably will never recreate again. Yeah. A couple of the games I do think we've been unlucky. We absolutely battered Rotherham and just couldn't score. But then on Saturday against Cardiff, we were really poor, and we were lucky to get a point in that one.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen many of the games. I mean, which players would you say is kind of stood out for you from Preston this season?
The surprise really has been Liam Lindsay in the centre of defence, because I think if you'd asked a lot of Preston fans even 6 months ago, they'd have said that Lindsay was pretty forgettable almost. He'd signed permanently after joining from Stoke on loan, looked a bit shaky whenever he did play and just wasn't making much of an impact. Then this season started and he's been fantastic in the heart of our back three. Robbie Brady's been very good at left wing back. Obviously played at a higher level than this before, and I think it shows at times. The way he uses the ball is really good. But then outside of that, I think it, like you say, it's been solid if unspectacular, really. I can't even say that, somebody's impressed with goal scoring because there's only been one of them.
Yeah. How about Troy Parrott? How's he looked? Obviously a new signing, I think Tottenham or MK Dons, I can't remember which one it is, but how's he been looking for you?
Yeah, he's on loan from Tottenham. I personally think he's played quite well. I think he's divided opinion a little bit because obviously the goals aren't going in. I think it's a little bit hard for him at the moment because we've been playing him up front on his own, and I don't really think that's his game. I think he likes to sort of drop in and get on the ball rather than go up and fight centre-backs for it and, be the focal point. He's only scored once, that was in the Cup against Huddersfield. I would expect him to play again on Wednesday, but hopefully this time he will actually have some support up front, because we just can't keep playing him up front on his own with little support around him. It just didn't work at all on Saturday, and it actually forced Ryan Lowe to make a change after about half an hour, I think, where he threw out another striker just to get somebody up there with him.
Ched Evans, would he be someone who could be featuring on Wednesday, or do you think he'll be on the bench again?
I would expect him to be on the bench. He did come on, I think it was quite late on against Cardiff. He's had a bit of a stop-start opening to the season, really, because he got sent off on the opening day about 10 minutes after coming on. Then obviously you've got to bring him back after suspension. He had a bit of a niggling injury at the back end of last season as well. So it's been a bit of a stop-start year for him. So I'd think he'd be on the bench, but Emil Rees is looking really out of sorts. So it wouldn't be a huge shock if Evans did start up top with Parrott.
Yeah. In terms of formation, looking ahead to this game, is it kind of similar? I mean, looking at the Cardiff game, it was kind of a 3-4-2-1 formation. Is that kind of a formation that Lowe will adopt for this game, or do you think he might change things up a bit?
I think he'll change it up a bit now. We opened the season with 3-5-2, and then he sort of took a striker out to get another supporting midfielder in behind the striker. Occasionally it's looked all right, but we just had absolutely nothing going forward against Cardiff. I don't even think we had a shot on target. I would expect him to push another striker up and drop a midfielder out and go back to 3-5-2 this time.
Yeah. Going to bring Glenn in. Glenn, welcome to the show. What changes would you envisage Robin's making for this game? Change the goalkeeper and any changes at the back possibly for you?
I think he'd have to drop Simon Moore to bring Wilson in. I think you've got to look at it maybe as a long-term decision. I'm not sure. Maybe you want to play Faz 3 times in a week, so maybe you do bring Doyle in, and maybe play Doyle or Panzo as the middle of a back three. I think Hamel comes back in, and then it's a bit of a dilemma. What do? Do you match Preston up and go back to the box, or we're at home and do you play 2 up top, but run the risk of maybe them dominating the midfield against us? I think that's the interesting one. I'd like to see Casey Palmer given another run out. I thought he was quite promising. I actually thought Waghorn did all right. Not convinced by Vic and Godden as a 2. Still have reservations. I think Godden's started the season well, but Vic has, aside from the goal against Sunderland, he's been a bit out of sorts, I think. So much probably like Reese has been for Preston. Reese is always one that I've always rated, and I thought he would potentially be one, like when Middlesbrough after a striker, that he'd be on Middlesbrough's shopping list, but I don't think he's gone. I'd just be interested on Ollie's take on obviously what's gone wrong with Reese, and also Cameron Archer. Is him going basically not really giving Preston were kind of hoping to get him back. Is that kind of thrown a spanner in the works with your plans for this season?
So on Reese, Middlesbrough were, still are being linked to them a little bit. It's quieting down a little. Because I think did they go in for Gyökeres earlier this summer?
We told them we wanted 25 million or something stupid price, and they just spat the dummy out and went and cried that we were asking for silly money for him.
Yeah, I think we've said that we want at least 10 million for Reese if they want to sign him. So ball's in their court, I think. The thing with Reese is that he's very much a confidence player, and if it doesn't go his way a little bit for a few games in a row, you can sense the frustration building a little bit, and he starts maybe trying to force his way out of the rut almost. So at the moment, you're seeing him take the wrong decision occasionally, or he'll shoot from an angle which he shouldn't really be shooting from. He's just trying to get that goal and get back on track, but he's just forcing it a little bit. I don't think it's helped him that he was dropped after, I think, the second league game of the season, and he's been on the bench ever since. Because you're just not able to get him going again. He's just having to settle for substitute appearances and try and work himself in that way. Lowe sort of said that he'll talk to Reese on Monday because he seems to think that his head is maybe a little bit distracted by all the speculation going on. But I think the drop in confidence kind of came a little bit before the Middlesbrough rumours even started. So it's not. I don't think it's just on Reese. I think Lowe is taking him out of the team early, and he's just dented his confidence a little bit. Archer, I think we all hoped he would come back, but you saw how good he was. I think every team in the Championship would probably want Cameron Archer now. Villa don't seem to be using him either, which makes it even stranger that they're not letting him out on loan. I think if he's going to go now, he's probably going to go to a team bigger than us. Burnley have been linked, Watford, probably somewhere like that. So yeah, I think missing Archer is huge. He just made such an impact last season. Parrott hasn't really had the same goal scoring impact as much as he looks like a good player. So yeah, we're left now with hopefully trying to get a striker in before the deadline, but it doesn't sound too optimistic on that front at the moment. And I think Villa have rejected our latest approach for Archer anyway, according to one of our local papers. So yeah, it doesn't sound like he's coming back.
How's Daniel Johnson been looking for you as well? I've always rated the player, sort of that attacking midfield position. Is he someone that's been playing well for you this season?
Another one really where fans are getting on his back a little bit. He was the one that was substituted in the first half at Cardiff to get Reece on. He played as a left wing back actually against Wolves in the Cup last week. That's a position that Lowe's sort of tested in a few times. I would still probably expect him to start on Wednesday, but obviously with him coming off in the first half, I wouldn't say it's guaranteed. But I feel like we've been here before where he maybe has a little dip where the goals don't come because he's usually been quite good at that. And then fans start saying that he shouldn't be in the team and this, that, and the other. But the class always sort of comes through given time. And I don't think with that far away from Johnson probably getting back to his best form again.
Yeah, I've always thought he's quite a good player. He's got a bit of pace about him, and he's the sort of guy who can sort of open up defences. And I always think he's always a bit of a threat from our point of view. I think he's a good player, so I'm sure this early game of the season, I'm hoping he won't perform more to the point. Because I'm sick and tired of opposition players do perform against us this season. So, but we'll see what happens. Danny, bring you back in. How nice is it for the fans to be back at home? And I mean, obviously, it'd be interesting to see how the pitch plays as well. I mean, do you think it will be a good footballing pitch for this game, or do you think you could cut up?
Yeah, it's going to be nice to be back, won't it? I mean, you haven't been to a home game now for months. It's been so frustrating when you're seeing everyone in the Championship's probably played 3 home games and some of the even cup games as well. We haven't even had a single home game all season, so really frustrating. I think the pitch should be okay. To be fair, with the pictures I've seen and the equipment they've been using, I've got confidence it could be in a decent state. It's probably not going to be 100%, but I still think it'll be a decent surface. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's just good to be going to a live. I haven't been to a game all season yet. I've obviously had away games and things like that, but it's so nice to be going to a game and hopefully it's a good atmosphere and you get the 3 points on the board.
Yeah, that'd be nice because I think it kind of feels like it's been overdue a little bit. Glenn, how important the fans are for this game because the atmosphere obviously hasn't been great. Certainly on social media, it's been pretty downbeat. But it's so important that the fans are the 12th man for this game because obviously not a good start to the season, but still plenty of games to turn this around, isn't there? On there.
Yeah, we've got 43 games left to play. We've got 129 points. It's 3 games. We've been away. We probably arguably should have more points on the board than we've got. So, but there's no point moping around, crying. Hyam's gone. Not happy with it. Do I agree what's happened? But probably given the circumstances, we were going to lose somebody. Blackburn have come in a bit left field. We still don't know whether he's definitely going there because Blackburn seem to want 4 centre halves, and I don't think they're going to sign all 4 of them. So yeah, I think we've just got to. There's no point like Sisu out in. We hate the Wasps. I think for the 90 minutes, get behind the team no matter what. If we go 1-0 down, stay behind them because they need us. There's just been this kind of negative cloud over the season for whatever reason, it's just like we're really positive. Then obviously, then the news about Callum O'Hare getting injured. Then obviously we've seen the team against Sunderland started poorly, give him a cheap goal, coming back in, played really well, positive. Then obviously the Rotherham game gets called off. We have the Bristol City shenanigans, which just was horrible game, and it just looked like the players were totally shell shocked and lost it. Go to Millwall. We find out the day we find the Wigan games off, 2-0 up, shoot ourselves in the foot. Then obviously we lose the Huddersfield game as well. So then we're still playing catch up, and then we come into Hull City, loads of injuries, and the striker who's probably on fire in the league. We give him 3 of the easiest goals you're going to get a hat trick from all season, and probably we're the better side looking back at the game and the chances. Yeah. So it's a massive week because, like I said, we've only got 2 home games now before the international break. Preston and West Brom, who notoriously we never do well against them. Then obviously we've got to go to Norwich. We've got Luton. We don't do particularly well against them, and then we've got Blues away. So we've got to get some form of points on the board. We've kind of almost got to do what we did the first season back in the Championship and just go a bit ugly and a bit solid and just grind a few results out and hope that if we keep it 0-0, our fitness and our options off the bench, we can maybe nick a few 1-0s. But you can't keep chasing games, despite the fact that I think we've been the better side second half in all three of the games we've played this season. Well, all 4 actually, even against Bristol City in the League Cup, we were miles better on it. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I just wanted to ask Ollie about Freddie Woodman. He's been very surprised to get him on a permanent deal. How's he done for you guys? Because he's one I always thought was going to go on to big things, probably even get Newcastle jersey, but it's not really worked out for him after the Swansea loan.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised as well because I think the rumor initially started that he might be coming in on loan, and even that I thought, well, there's probably going to be a bigger Championship club that would want Freddie Woodman. So then to get him on a permanent deal felt absolutely massive. I mean, we had Daniel Everson on loan for the previous 18 months, and he won our Player of the Year award last year. So replacing him felt like this huge task, and then Woodman's come in and just been brilliant. I feel like we haven't really been put under huge pressure in any of the games. I think Cardiff were probably the one where we looked most susceptible. And even in games like against Rotherham, I mean, he'll make one great save and you just think that's why we've got him in. So yeah, looks like a great signing. To have started the season with 6 straight clean sheets is pretty unbelievable as well.
Apologies. I was trying to find blooming button to turn off mute, which wasn't very good. Glenn, I mean, in terms of our team, do we look at going 2 up front for this game and maybe looking at Norwich? Do we then go 1 up front and play the extra man field? Was that something we may have missed a trick on a little bit for yesterday? Could we have gone 1 up front and said, well, we'll be happy with a point? Or was that a bit too negative thinking?
I think in hindsight, it would have been good to go back to the box. I think our best performances, probably especially away from home, is when we play the box. But we generally don't probably have the personnel at the moment. I think Casey Palmer will give you the ball retention that O'Hare does, but he's probably not going to run around the pitch getting stuck in as much as like O'Hare and Jamie Allen do. Obviously, you've got Waghorn who could play that role, but he's the same. He's not going to press as much as those two. So, yeah, I think there's definitely an argument that you go 2 up top on Wednesday. And then I think to Norwich, you maybe, you know what, maybe, you know, maybe there's an argument to go 3 up front and you play Vic a bit wider and you play Tavares off the right or even maybe a Waghorn. Because Norwich have 2 attacking fullbacks. Aarons likes to bomb on. Vic might actually have a bit of space to exploit and work that way on it. But yeah, I think the problem is O'Hare being missing and Kelly has left a massive hole in our team because then you lose the options off the bench that we had, which is you have Kelly. You could play 3 across the midfield. You could play Kelly, Hamer, and Sheaf. And then O'Hare just in front and then rotate Vic and Godden. Or obviously if you had, you did have Kelly, but you had O'Hare. You could play O'Hare, Allen, Sheaf, and Hamer, and that's worked really well at points this season. Maybe even there's an argument you push Hamer a bit further forward and play Hamer in the 10 role. Maybe you play Hamer in the 10 role with Palmer at Norwich, and you just say to Sheaf and Allen, you be the midfield two, and do that way. Or maybe you could give Eccles a run out. For Eccles did a bit better on Saturday. But yeah, it's just there's just holes in the team at the moment, and you're just trying to fill them and just get by until we get O'Hare back. But it's going to be maybe another 2 months, and Kelly's probably going to be the same. So it's not like we've got a short-term fix on it. But maybe we go back to a back four, but there seems to be a lot of conjecture that we're not suited to a back four. I don't know what you and Danny think, Mark, whether a back four is an option for us in the short term.
Possibly. I think we looked okay with back four. I thought when we sort of reverted formation yesterday, there is an argument for that. I'd like to see. Personally, I just feel our weaker area is centre midfield. I feel like we get overrun a bit too much for me. I kind of see where you're coming from with the Hamer number 10 argument, because I think going forward, his link-up play is really good. His set pieces are good. But his weakness for me is his tracking back. You know, it's by no coincidence the number of yellow cards he picked up last season and has been picking up this season has been because he's been caught out of position, and he he deliberately brings the player down and picks up a cheap yellow. And I think that's, I would like to see possibly Eccles instead of Allen. I don't know what your thoughts are, Glenn. I've just not been massively convinced about Jamie Allen in centre midfield. Would you go along with that, or am I being a bit harsh?
I think the thing with Allen is, I think there was times on Saturday where we got the ball and had time and space, and you're thinking, if that was Sheaf, that was maybe even Kelly, or even that was Hamer, they'd probably have that little X factor quality pass that they could pick. Whereas I think a lot of the time he just kind of plays a safe ball. I think the same thing happens when we have Faz in the back three. A lot of the time it just gets passed to him because we don't want to take responsibility, or he demands the ball and then we kind of give it away. But no, I could see the logic with Eccles. He's got a good engine on him. I think wing back maybe isn't his best position. He will get the ball and he'll drive forward. He's got a goal in him. He's got a pass in him. So yeah, I could see the logic in it. And Allen has played a lot of football for us. So yeah, I mean, probably Eccles is more suited to maybe a physical battle or scrap, so to speak, on it.
Yeah. I mean, my overall view about the game is I feel the Preston game will be a very, very tight game. It kind of be similar to the game last season at CBS, where it kind of, it could have gone either way. I can see something similar happening. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Preston score first. And I think if that does happen, I think it's very important that fans get, stay behind the team, because it could easily, the atmosphere could easily turn a little bit ugly if things don't go away. And I think the start we've had, I think it's a little bit unfair on the players, although having said that, individual mistakes hasn't helped our cause, irrespective of what's happened off the field. We've got to cut out them silly mistakes that we're making, because those silly mistakes are costing us points, costing us games. And I think, but I think the fans could play a big part in this game, because Preston is a team we never get much joy out of. They're a very tough, resilient Championship side, a bit like us, similar in the sense of they're always around a mid-table Championship team and never really kind of pushed on for a playoff spot, but always a tough nut to crack. And you look at the results this season, they don't concede goals, and obviously they haven't only scored one goal this season, but that's something we need to work on as a team. We've got to get clean sheets at the ball. 7 goals in 3 games conceded is not good enough, and you're not going to win many games of football, concede an average of 2 goals a game. Admittedly, it's 3 games, and I think let's be clear, it's still very much early days. But what we just need a decent. I'd take a scrappy 1-0 this game. I don't care how well or badly we play. I just want to win the game. 1-0. Give us a bit of confidence to Norwich, because Norwich really is going to be probably one of the hardest away trips we've got this season. Maybe them Watford and Burnley. They are the 3 probably best sides on paper in the league. I think this is a massive game for me. We've got to try and win. Even a point is not a great result. We just need to get something from the game. We just need a performance. We've got to give us a bit of hope. And I guess going forward is where we are doing well. And I think he'll go 2 up front. That's just my view. I get that Gyökeres hasn't been at his best, but I know Gyökeres, he's a quality player. He's done okay for me. I'm not worried about him at all. That's my view. Go back to Danny. How do you think the game's going to go for you on Wednesday night?
Well, everyone's thinking it's going to be tight, aren't they? Because of like Preston's draws and not scoring that many goals. But I actually think there's going to be goals in the game. I'm expecting quite a few. I think it's just going to be one of these games where everyone's like 0-0, 1-0, and it's just going to be once. The thing is, if Preston, if we can get a goal against them, then it opens the game up completely then. And I just think there will be goals. I'm not saying we're going to win, but I think there will be goals in the game. We are scoring goals in matches. We've scored 2 away at Millwall, 2 away at Hull. Obviously scored away at Sunderland. You've got Godden who scored 3 and 3. Gyökeres, I think he's due a goal. He played okay against Sunderland, okay against Millwall, but he was poor yesterday. No, I actually think there's going to be quite a few goals in this match.
Yeah, not sure.
I don't know who's going to win the game.
No. Right, I'm going to put you on the spot. So, score prediction, Danny. We'll come to Ollie next.
Do you know what? Everyone's saying we never beat Preston, and I remember a game we did beat them at Highfield Road, although it was a while ago. So I'm going 4-0 Coventry.
4-0. That's a very optimistic shout. I love the positivity. Ollie, what are you going for? How do you think games going to pan out from a Preston perspective?
I mean, there's only one scoreline I can really predict, and then I'm going to have to go for another 0-0.
Yeah.
Because I predicted 0-0 against Cardiff at the weekend, so I'll stick with that. I just think it's going to be tight. Coventry a good side, and we're not really flowing going forward, at least based on Saturday's performance. So yeah, I would love a horrible 1-0. I've got to say, love those in a midweek game. But yeah, 0-0 I'll go for.
0-0. Glenn, how do you feel about this game? Is this a game you feel that we could pick up our first win this season? Not sure if Glenn's there. We'll come back to Glenn in a minute. I think my view is I can see this game being a 1-0 either way type of game. I don't see there being many goals. I think it's going to be quite a tight game, much like the game at the CBS last season. I think it's a game we can win, but it's just all about how we defend, really, how we cope with their attack. I think we're capable of winning the game, but we're also capable of losing the game, and it's very hard to say. So, for those who probably listen to the podcast a lot, I'm going to sit on the fence and say 0-0 because I don't see us breaking Preston down. And I can't remember. I mean, you said, Danny, that we beat in Highfield Road, so that must be over 15, 20 years ago now. I imagine that's because I don't remember us beating Preston at all. Maybe when Black and White TV were around, maybe, I don't know. But
Johnson, a youngster, he got a hat trick that day against Preston. I think it was a midweek game, but you're right, our record against Preston's awful. I've been to some horrid games at Preston where I remember we lost 4-0 once, and one of our fans tried to punch our goalkeeper. There's an hour bogey side for us, so it wouldn't surprise me if a scrappy 1-0 Preston win. I've just got a feeling there's going to be goals in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think Preston and Torres are hard to break down, but you never know. I think at least we're scoring goals, so this goes to the game of confidence, in the final third, and I think that's a problem. We look quite confident in that position. It's just at the back that really concerns me, and the goalkeeper. But it depends what it'd be interesting to see. I think it's just important to get some kind of reaction for the whole game. We need to start better. We can't we can't afford to back off when teams have the ball in attack like we were yesterday. We'll be backing off, and then teams are playing around us. And I think that's where I think we can run into problems. But let's see what happens on Wednesday night. I had a question. I don't know if you know the answer, Ollie, from Webby about. Can you remember Liam Grimshaw at Preston? Do you remember him?
Yeah, I think he signed for us around a similar time as Ben Pearson did. We got both of them from United. And I do also remember Coventry beating us at the Rico in a Johnson's Paint game in 2013. Where
of course, yeah.
I think we were 2-1 up near the end and conceded 2 in injury time and got beat. So yeah, it's not all good memories for us either.
Was that the quarterfinals, if memory serves me right?
I think it was quite deep because I think it was a January game. And
Leon Clark and Carl Baker.
Yeah.
Literally 2 goals.
No, then we got beat
by Crew.
Yeah, then we got beat. Yeah, got beat by Crew. Yeah, because I think Simonson was in goal for Preston. I think he got injured. And they didn't. I think Wesley was the manager for Preston that time. Cough fans never liked. Yeah, I'm sure Ollie has fond memories of Wesley.
Yeah. Don't remind me.
Just on a bit of a side note, Ollie. Obviously, Alex Neil was your manager. He's did quite well. Are you surprised that he's left Sunderland to go to Stoke?
A little bit in one sense, because I thought he had something good going there, especially after he got him promoted, and they've not had the best time in League One. They've been through a few managers, but Stoke did want him from us in, I think it was about November 2019, maybe a little bit later. But Stoke tried to get Neil from us then, so I can't say I'm surprised that Stoke want him again. I think if Neil settled down in this neck of the woods while he was our manager, then maybe going to Stoke makes a bit more sense, just because it's a little bit closer. But they must have given him a pretty decent budget to be going there. They've obviously, they've got Dwight Gale, haven't they? So they've got a few decent signings in over the summer. I loved Neil during his time at Preston. So yeah, I'm not surprised Stoke wanted him at all, but maybe a little surprised that he has gone.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think he signed a contract to Sunderland, if memory serves me right. So it just surprised me that why would you sign a contract if then, a month or 2 later you then walk out and go to another club? It just seems a bit strange to me, looking at it from the outside. But I think it's a massive blow for Sunderland, because I think they look pretty good under Neil. It's organised, but compact, hard to break down. I think it's definitely a massive tick in the box for Stoke, because I thought under O'Neill they were really looking a pretty average Championship side, but I think now obviously they've picked up a decent. They look a team possibly who could do well this season under Neil. And I think he's got a good pedigree, I think, for me. So yeah, I want to go back to the game, Glenn. I think he was cut off earlier. Our esteemed colleague Kem's going for 3-0 win, bouncing back in style. Is that something you share, or do you think it's going to be a much tighter game for that?
I don't really know, because this idiot's booked a trip to Skeggy for the week. So I'll be watching it on iFollow. So, and the last time I watched a game when I was in Skeggy and iFollow, we lost 3-0 to Bournemouth. So that was the end of last season. So hopefully, no, I won't do that. But I've got a feeling it might be very similar to when we played Reading the season that we got promoted. We played Reading and it was a lot. We won 3-2 and had a bit of a look. There was a bit of lucky goals. I think the goalie threw one in from Sam McCallum. I think there'll be goals. I think it's just the way we play, and I think if we score and the crowd will roar us on, I think it'll just be typical Cov that we'll make hard work of it. And normally there are goals when we play Preston. It's not normally a 0-0. So I'll go 3-2 Cov.
Yeah. I think it's kind of a mixture of scores there. I think it'll be a close game, whatever the outcome. But looking forward to it, and hopefully we can pick up our first win and get the season off to a good start at the CBS Arena. Any other comments you want to make regarding tonight? Okay, I think I'll I'll call it quits for tonight. So that rounds up tonight's show. I want to thank our guests, Ollie from Detailed Digest. Thank you for coming on and being the opposition guest. Glenn and Danny, as always, thank you for your time tonight. Next show will be Thursday, which hopefully we'll be talking about a win finally this season, but we'll see what happens. We'll be looking to get a fan on from the Norwich City podcast to look ahead to Saturday's game at Carrow Road, and then we'll be reviewing it on the Sunday. So thank you everyone for listening. Play up Sky Blues, and we'll speak to you on Thursday. Have a good evening. Good night.